Hey everyone, welcome to Ambition Office Hours. We're super excited to have everyone join in and take this time to learn a little bit more about Ambition, how you guys can use it, and really maximize its potential. So, kind of going over what is office hours. We're here to share Ambition best practices, industry trends, insights, and answer any questions you have. So at the beginning of this time together, we're going to talk a little bit about sales incentives. That's our fun topic for the day, but then we'll open the floor to any questions you guys have brought to us. Moving forward, if you guys want to bring any of your friends to Ambition Office Hours, please do. It's open to anyone that's interested in learning more about gamification, coaching, sales management, and Ambition. So bring your coworkers, bring your reps. It'll be fun and we'll all learn something together. We're going to be hosting office hours the second and fourth Thursday of each month. We're offering an AM session and a PM session each month to hopefully accommodate everybody's schedules. So today on office hours, we've got myself. My name's Emma Hamilton. I'm a customer success manager at Ambition, and I am going to go around and introduce my co-hosts, and I'm going to ask them what their current Ambition anthem is. Mine at the moment is the song "Me" by Taylor Swift. Hey Emily, if you want to introduce yourself and let us know what your anthem is, that'd be great.
Of course. Hey, y'all. My name is Emily Walker. I'm a customer success manager here at Ambition. And I don't know if you have any Brooklyn Nine-Nine fans in the house, but mine is all of the inmates singing "I Want It That Way." So if you guys are a fan, I'm here with you.
Awesome. Hey, Mary, if you want to introduce yourself and let us know what your Ambition anthem is.
Hey y'all, super excited to be a part of this very first office hours. Emma is going to share some really cool stuff, so I'm excited to get to be a part of it. My anthem, always a variety of Lil Yachty, Magic in the Hamptons, Lil Yachty, aka Lil Boat. Check it out.
Awesome, guys, thanks. Every time we come on office hours, we're going to have a panel of experts. So customer success managers, people from our product team, maybe even a couple of customers that want to come and share about some of the great things they're doing on Ambition. So be expecting some new faces every single time, and you can get to know some members of our team. So for a quick little fun theme that we're going to go over here at the beginning of office hours, we want to try to provide something fun for you guys to learn, something that we can share that is, topics that come up frequently. So today we decided to talk about sales incentives that motivate. One of our most frequently asked questions as customer success managers are people wondering, what types of sales incentives should I motivate my teams with? What examples of other customers, what are they doing that really gets their teams and reps fired up to compete in a competition or to hit that goal target. So we've compiled a bunch of sales incentive ideas, and we're going to talk about how we can use those in Ambition. But if any of you guys out there have any great sales incentives that have been successful on your team, or you've seen another organization do something that was super cool, go ahead and drop that in the chat, and we'll be reading off if anyone has anything fun to share with the group. Also keep your eyes on the chat. Emily and Mary are going to be dropping links to some helpful resources and articles and things that might be fun to check out after office hours. So first we've got budget-friendly sales incentives. If you're doing frequent weekly, daily competitions or offering incentives, we want them to be budget-friendly so you can offer them more often. So we've got some awesome examples here. So option one is first place picks the anthems for the rest of the team for 1 week. You'll probably hear a lot of embarrassing songs, Baby Shark, or if someone is a huge fan of a specific college football team, maybe you go and as the winner goes and sets their anthem as their rival's fight song. That's always fun. They'll be sure to win next time so that they can do the same to the other person. The second option is lunch with leadership. Any opportunity we can give our reps to connect with leadership and give them that time to develop is super valuable, and your reps will find it valuable as well. So maybe a week-long competition that wraps up with a Friday lunch with someone on your exec team. I think that'll really speak volumes. Half day on Friday. Who doesn't love a half day on Friday? So again, this is great for a week-long competition. Wrap it up Friday morning, and then whoever is either meets a certain threshold or is your top performer, they get to go home early. Snooze button. So people love to offer this for your reps that might struggle to come in early in the mornings. They can compete to earn maybe to come in an hour late or hit that snooze button. Punish your manager if the team reaches a target. So this is great to foster camaraderie and teamwork, and set something like, I've seen teams buy a big plain white t-shirt and they'll decorate it really embarrassing, and then their manager, if they hit the target, has to wear that really ugly t-shirt for a whole week. So it can be really, really fun and super motivating. Praise the winner. This is something we did here at Ambition a few months ago, and it was so awesome. So our account executives, they ran a 2-week-long competition, and the winner got 1 minute of praise from all of her coworkers in front of the whole company. So Katie got to stand up in front of everybody, and while her coworkers went around the room and they wrote poems about her, they did slideshow presentations on why she's the greatest. It was so fun and hilarious, and you definitely could tell all of the other account executives, they're like, I want that moment next time. So they're in it to win it for the next time around. And then a LinkedIn endorsement. LinkedIn is the cool place to be these days, and we all want, all of our accolades and achievements to be out there for everybody to see. And so if you are managing reps, giving them a LinkedIn shout out or endorsement, or making a post about how they have been successful or won a competition, that would really be amazing. Emily, Mary, do you guys have any other budget-friendly incentive ideas?
Yes. So we have, and y'all probably have done these naturally with your teams. And so definitely be thinking about what motivates your team the most that is beyond those financial incentives. But one of the really fun ones I've heard is, I had one manager where he bought a trophy from a thrift store, and he had his team decorate it however they wanted to. And it was ridiculous and so tacky and over the top. And they just rotated that trophy because they had recurring weekly competitions running for call leaders. And so the winner got that trophy. So you think about it, if the CEO of the company is walking through and sees this ridiculous and insane trophy, they're going to ask what it's from. And so they had so much fun with that. And then the other one, if you guys are familiar, Emma's going to talk about this in a second, but fantasy competitions, I've heard where the winner gets to draft their team for the next fantasy competition. So it's a good fun way to keep it in the competitions, but then they get to come up with this really awesome team of their buddies and their friends, and they all get to compete with each other ongoing.
I have a couple to add into. One is the winner gets to bring their dog to work, or their little pet to work. So that is a fun one if your office is willing to be like semi-pet friendly, but maybe you don't want everyone's dogs there at the same time. Bring your dog to work for the winner is pretty fun. Also, classic parking spot up front kills every time. Having that front row parking spot is a cool one for people. And this one isn't free, but it's pretty cheap. Like Emma mentioned, lunch or coffee with leadership. Sometimes getting leadership to actually mentor the person for maybe like a month or a week or something is a great one. And then also on LinkedIn, because Emma's right, it is the place to be for people in sales. Sometimes you can do a small ad spend of like ads for the winner, where all the leads go directly to the ad. So that's kind of a fun one for LinkedIn too. But I love all these, and I did chat out a blog post that has some of these, like a recap in case you're worried you'll forget. Check the chat for the link.
Awesome, thanks guys. So next slide is some not so budget friendly incentives. So maybe these are quarterly prizes that you give out, annual prizes, but they are really fun. So let your reps choose. So set that monetary threshold, and then let your reps choose what they want. Maybe it's a vacation, maybe it's a really expensive handbag, but kind of putting the power in their court allows them to be individually motivated to get exactly what they want. StubHub gift card, again, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. You can, get tickets to just about anything on StubHub. So gives them a little more power as well. Southwest gift card, everyone's wanting to travel, jet set, so give them the power to do that. Billboard in their hometown. This is a classic ambition incentive. We do it every year. So our top performing account executives in each market win a billboard that they get to design themselves in their hometown. So we'll see people's faces blown up and put on a billboard with everyone here in Tennessee is a Tennessee Vols fan. So we tend to have a lot of Tennessee Vols billboards of people's faces out on the field and doing silly stuff with the Tennessee Vols. But it is super fun, and it's surprisingly not as expensive as you would think to purchase a billboard. So look into that in wherever you guys are in the world. Especially if you're throwing a billboard up in someone's hometown, maybe it's a little bit smaller. It'll be really fun. Drive the company car for a month. So I have a customer that their organization leases a Mercedes Benz, and they run a monthly competition, and the winner of that month's competition gets to drive the Mercedes for the next month. It's so fun. It never fails to be motivating or incentivizing. People want to drive that Mercedes. They get to just completely take it home, and it's theirs for the month. And it's a lot of fun. Winning rep gets to attend the next industry conference, like the Ambition Customer Summit. We actually had an amazing organization do an internal competition last fall, and the winner did get to come visit us at the Ambition Customer Summit in October, and that was really special for us and for the rep, and we all had a great time, and I know that they're excited to run that again next year. Emily, Mary, you guys have some not so budget friendly ideas to share?
I've definitely heard of the lottery ticket where people all put in something within a specific financial threshold that they would want to do. So one person might put in a boat weekend with your friends. One person might put in, like you said, expensive shoes or something ridiculous, and then they would all draw from it. And I have reps that they will actually create inspiration prize dream boards. And so one thing that's always fun is letting them create their incentive prize dream board and encouraging them. It's not always the best to do money because they're going to forget that they want anything and spend it on groceries, like our VP of Mark said one time. So definitely keeping it something that they would never buy for themselves that they'll remember. AirPods, of course, if you're in the tech space, who doesn't want AirPods?
I will chime in and say I think AirPods is great. I think a way to combine budget friendly with not so budget friendly is like a spinny wheel or something, and that kind of keeps some big prizes on the board to like motivate people alongside some some of those more budget friendly incentives that Emma shared. Airplane vouchers are always very, very fun. That's probably my favorite one on the list. But I think technology like iPad, I've seen that be really successful alongside of these that Emma already mentioned.
Awesome. So how can you guys award incentives through Ambition? So the first is, of course, our competitions. So in our challenge mode of competitions, that's that first screenshot you see on top. You have the opportunity to award rank level prizes and threshold level prizes. This is one of my favorite things we do in Ambition. With the rank level prizes, it's very traditional: first place, second place, third place, and you award based on where they fall on that final leaderboard. Threshold level prizes sets a specific threshold, so maybe it's 100 points. And any rep who receives 100 points during the duration of the competition wins this incentive. So maybe you guys have reps that aren't very motivated by the competitive atmosphere. Maybe they would be more motivated by competing within themselves and kind of setting the bar for themselves and knowing that if they put in the work, they still get recognition or an incentive. Maybe you guys have a superstar on your team that wins the first place incentive every single time. That could be a downer to some of your other reps. So trying to creatively incentivize everybody to really do their best and then reward them for doing great work is always a great thing. That second option you see are the prize options for an Ambition fantasy competition. So if you guys are familiar with fantasy, we've got that regular season which turns into the 4-competitor playoff season. So we award prizes based on their standings in the playoffs. We award a season MVP, which is a solo player that contributes the most points throughout the duration of the competition. And then best of the rest, which is essentially the consolation for everyone who did not make into playoffs. We're going to award the winner out of that bracket as well. You can award incentives through accolades and ambition. So this is an achievement that someone you set a threshold, and whenever they reach that achievement, you can decide to put an incentive there that they'll win if they get to that point. And then you can award incentives and ambition through goals. So setting a goal, I love a good team goal. You can do individual goals too, but I love anything that fosters teamwork and camaraderie. So set that team goal high, and maybe incentivize them with a night out on the town, or an extra day of PTO, or something that'll make them work together to get to that target. So we have a bunch of resources. We're going to be recapping this call in an email. Everyone's going to get an email of a recording of this time, this slide deck that I've walked through. It's got the links and the resources, and then any other resources we talked through today. So now, I guess I'll first open it up to if anybody has questions specifically based on sales incentives. You can type those in the chat if you have any.
People are typing. We were talking literally this morning with my team lead, and we were talking about how there are some zoos in the area that literally have programs where your company can bring a team and you can have a day at the zoo taking care of some animals. So if you have animal lovers on your team, y'all, possibilities are endless. And obviously it matters about the demographic, but you can get so fun with team building competitions and goals. We love those here.
And I think too, the professional development stuff that you called out, not just a conference, but professional development makes your sales reps actually better at their jobs. And in our 2019 State of the Sales Survey, it was one of the #1 asked for incentives, professional development. And so you're going to actually be building up your rep to help sell more for your organization, alongside of like giving them a sense of fulfillment and like a reward for themselves.
Yeah, and Mary, along that side, it's so valuable too, because then if that rep now has that certification or that training, then that rep can come back and lead a session for your team and share what they learned. So you automatically have a subject matter expert on that training to share with your team.
Those are awesome, guys. We did have some questions come in whenever you guys registered for today. So we'll kind of start making sure we get to all of those. So a couple of people had a few questions about competitions and ambition, which is awesome. So I am going to pull up, let's see. I have the Ambition Competition Builder. And I'll kind of talk through the options, because we do have 2 options for competitions and ambition. So as you see, we've got challenge mode and fantasy mode. They're different, and you'll use them for different things. So challenge mode, it is going to rank people in a leaderboard style, first place through last place, based on the points that they accumulate. So very simply, the person in first place that wins at the end is going to be the person with the highest amount of points. Challenge mode, you can do a competition anywhere from 30 minutes long to 3 months long. Kind of best practice is to keep challenge mode about 1 month or less. If we start to take it a little bit further than that, then maybe fantasy mode is a little a better fit for that particular competition. But challenge mode is great because it does have the flexibility to be a very short competition. Maybe all your reps go to lunch and you check their numbers for the day and they're not looking so hot. So by the time your reps get back for lunch, you have a really quick 2-hour-long competition spun up and ready to go to kick that day back into gear. So challenge mode can be really great for that. I also have pulled up what a challenge looks like in real time. So again, it's going to be that leaderboard ranking. So we've got first place all the way down to last place ranked on the points that they earn. In both challenge and fantasy mode, you have the opportunity to create multi-metric scoring that's really customized to what kind of behavior you're trying to push in the competition. So you can add a specific score parameter, and you can even have the option to weigh it. So maybe for this activities metric, we actually want to award 3 points per metric value. But maybe for the calls metric, we want to award 5 points per metric value. And so this really allows you guys to put the emphasis on the behaviors that you're really trying to push in that specific competition. That's available in both challenge and fantasy. And so for fantasy mode, kind of the difference in that and what you would use it for, these are your longer term competitions. It's separated into 2 parts, and kind of the best way to think about it is like professional football. Every week you play somebody new. So during that regular season, all of the competitors are going to be facing someone new every Monday when they walk through the office doors. This helps keep people engaged because it's an ever-changing competition. You're always having a new competitor and it feels fresh every single week. The main difference between fantasy and challenge is that in challenge mode, you're racking up points and you're being ranked on that leaderboard. Fantasy mode, you're racking up wins and losses through that regular season. And then based on the amount of wins you have, determines whether you're able to advance off to the 2-week-long playoff period. And so that playoff is an elimination style bracket that helps determine who the champion is. But these are great for your long-term competitions. You could have a quarter-long fantasy competition for one of those really killer, not so budget-friendly incentives, but then along the way, sprinkle challenges throughout because you want to continue to keep everyone engaged and continue to drive behaviors that are important to you guys. So we have a couple questions. Can the points be in decimals or just round numbers? So that's a great question. And it kind of has 2 sides to the answer. So let's look at calls, for example, and we can look at the points. So right now, 1 point per 1 metric value. If we tried to assign 0.5 points per 1 call, Ambition's not going to let us do that. But we can kind of work around and give 1 point per 2 calls. I hope that answers that question for you. And it's just a little bit of a workaround to keep the numbers round on both ends.
It also, along that line, it makes it super clear for your reps to understand the equation of how it's calculated. So the biggest thing you want to focus on with competitions is making sure your team knows how they get the points. So if you do something like Emma's showing, it's a really easy way to make sure they can see exactly and clearly how they'll get those points.
Awesome. You are so welcome, Elena. Anyone else have any questions specifically on competitions? I have pulled up a fantasy view. So if you guys are running a fantasy competition, this is the view for the kind of main landing page for that fantasy competition. And as you can see, different matchups. So this is this week's matchups. You can see who's playing who, and you can even dive into that specific game and learn more about this specific matchup. All of this, fantasy mode, challenge mode, can all be displayed on your TVs. So if your reps spend a lot of time looking at their Ambition TVs for their metrics and KPIs, you can also throw a slide in there for the competition that you're currently running so that they know what place they're in and what they need to do to, get back up to first place.
I had one customer where their rep said they felt like they were at Buffalo Wild Wings at work because they got to see their fantasy on the TV. So we have a ton of fun. I've had managers where they will take their team to a happy hour on Friday. They will pick their teams and they will announce the competition. So it's super fun. That's where they unveil what the prize is going to be. And since it's a longer competition, typically these prizes are a bit bigger than your typical challenge competition prizes.
I have one customer that in the big foyer of their entryway of their office is just stacked on the wall with college football helmets. And it's just part of their company culture. They're all big sports fans. So it's really fun to kind of tie in this fantasy competition with maybe a current event sports event. We've got the Olympics coming up this summer. I want to see some Olympic themed fantasy competitions. There's so many possibilities. It'd be super fun. So another question that we had sent in before was how to use coaching options more effectively, specifically using the check-ins. And I'm going to hand this off to Emily if she wants to talk this through.
Absolutely. So coaching has been a hot topic lately. So if you guys are just kicking off your coaching, please reach out to your CSM or anybody who can help, because it's definitely one of those things that we would love to walk you through. And when people have started to use it, they told me the other day, I had a manager that said, I'm using this for everything. So if you want to get involved in coaching, there are a lot of options. And if you've listened to any of Mary's webinars, which are phenomenal, we have all of those on our site. She talks through coaching and how good coaches do both informal and formal coaching sessions. So if you're the type of manager that does some one-off informal sessions, you go grab coffee with a rep because you want to check in on them because their performance isn't so good, or maybe their attitude is dropped, you just want to get that good pulse check. We have an option within Ambition where you can do a single one-off check-in. If you do this, this is that builder. And what Emma's showing you here is you can select an employee's name. Let's say that Andre is my employee that I really want to work with because he needs some professional development. So I can either do it scheduled. Let's say that I want to meet with him at 3 p.m. today, or you can do it now, one-off, and share a screen and run through it together. If I wanted to do it scheduled like Emma's building, then that will allow us to send a calendar invite. So this is a feature that we had so many product requests for, and we're so happy to offer. So if you do have something where you want to send a calendar invite to that rep, so that way they can go in, answer these questions, you guys can meet, and it's a little more informal and it's a different cadence than your regular one-on-ones. This is a great way to go about doing this. So you can see here, Emma's selecting that time. You can even change the duration. So if you want this to be something, for example, over coffee, then you'd say, hey, let's actually meet for a full hour because I don't want us to feel rushed through this. And I know I've been out of the office traveling for conferences. So let's catch up. I want to make sure that you have everything you need to feel like you're going to be successful here. So if you guys have more questions about check-ins, programs, notes, we got you. Reach out to us. And we'll probably be doing an office hour that is specific to coaching as well.
Speaking of doing an office hours right around coaching, if anyone has any themes, topics, or whatever that they would like office hours to cover, drop that in the chat. If there's any like general best practice or ambition specific, doesn't matter. Feel free to share your ideas in the chat so that we can bring those for you.
Awesome, thanks guys. Anyone else have any questions on their mind right now? You know, after looking at competitions, some coaching stuff, talking about sales incentives, any questions about any aspect of ambition and how you guys can use that to motivate your teams? I can show you while we're thinking of questions. I'll show you over, if I was a rep, what a competition would look like for me. Let's look. So we've got Roy. So if I was Roy and I was on my ambition dashboard, I've got, you know, it's my one-stop shop for all things gamification and, you know, checking in on my KPIs for the day. But I have this lovely little competitions tab. So it's super simple to navigate over here, pop in and kind of see, you know, what I have going on, what am I competing, who am I facing this week? I'm in first place, great, looking good. Appointment set, not so much. So it's a great one-stop to check in and see what you have going on to make sure that your reps, are fully aware of everything that they're enrolled into. So they have access to all these different tabs, to see everything that you've enrolled them in Ambition, and it's super simple for them to access that and get, the full information on what they need to do to be successful in each feature.
One thing, while you're showing those competitions, I get so many questions on this once people are actually building them out. Ideally, life would be so much easier if we had an even number of reps on our team, but that never happens. And so in our competitions, you can always do user per user average, but also with fantasy competitions, if you ever want to run it, we do accommodate for an odd number of teams. So if you ever have only 5 teams or only 7 teams, we have a phantom player that is the team's average. So on those off weeks, they will have that phantom player. So if you're already thinking through some ideas that you want to start implementing, but maybe you have an odd number, we got you.
That's a really great point, Emily. And it makes me think of something that I often get asked when people get ready to build competition. So as you see on this page, we have, competitions on the individual level. You see people's names. Then we have these, very interesting team names over here. And people want to know, how do I create these teams to utilize in my competition? Well, it's super simple. Over in admin, we're going to go to our groups. And so as you see, we've got, location, role, territory, but we also have teams. And so these are fun fantasy competition teams. So you guys can always create a new group type. Maybe it's a fantasy team, group. And this is where you can resegment your reps into these fun fantasy teams. Like Emily mentioned, maybe you let them draft their own teams and you make it really fun, but it's super simple to build in here. And so then when you go to the competition builder, these new teams will be an option for you to select from. And you can even put fun, I wouldn't consider this fun, profile pictures, but let them get customized and personalized with it, because the more they do so, the more engaged they're going to be.
And one really cool,
go ahead.
One really cool idea for pairing it, we all love teams, is sometimes new people, like if you're a high growth organization, you're always bringing on new people, it's really cool to pair up a newbie with a senior leader so that can be part of their onboarding or training, or sometimes like a lower performer with a higher performer, because it's a way to help scale your coaching efforts. Like when you can't get with every single person on a daily basis, partnering people up to do this peer-to-peer learning is really cool for these team competitions.
I was just going to add in too, for those profile pictures, y'all, I've seen some teams that are very talented with Photoshop, and they have made a very epic picture of their manager with the Photoshop team profile picture.
Yeah, get fun, get creative with it. The more you love that profile picture, the more you want to see it in that #1 spot on your TV. I will show, to kind of circle it back around to that original theme of incentives we were talking about, in the competition builder, how you would add the incentives. And that is simply down here in the prizes section. So like I mentioned, we've got the rank level and the threshold level. So rank, it'll allow you to grab, first place, second place, third place. I do always recommend still doing some sort of grand prize, just because, you want to continue motivating that top performer, and you want to recognize and reward whoever was the top performer. But I love these threshold level prizes. Let's motivate everybody. Let's incentivize everybody, because we want to reward great work no matter what. So maybe we're saying anyone who reaches 500 points in the competition gets X prize. Anyone who reaches 1,000 points in the competition gets Y prize. And it's really interesting to see how that drastically motivates an entire group versus specific individuals. So again, this is available in challenge mode. In fantasy mode, we've got these prize options. So we've got playoff, again, first, second, and third. Season MVP, so it's going to be that solo player that really shines throughout the season. And then if I were to choose some competitors, we got the best of the rest. So like I said, fantasy is divided into two sections: regular season, playoffs. Everyone participates in regular season. Top 4 move to playoffs. But then the rest of the teams that were left behind in that regular season, it's not over for them yet. They continue to battle it out for best of the rest.
And one thing I wanted to ask too about that, Emily and I have so many questions for you, Emma. So were you showing, just to clarify, that you can do threshold and first place? It doesn't have to be either or. And I think what's really cool about that is that it's all about continuing to drive those behaviors. So once someone hits the threshold, they don't slow down and just think, I've already got the prize. They do try to keep going to earn the additional prize. And then also for the same thing, if there's no way they're going to win first, they might just give up, but the threshold gives them a reason to keep going. And it does come back all around to the psychology of motivating the behavior there. That's cool.
Yeah, you're spot on. And it translates to the fantasy as well, because while your team might not have made it to the playoffs, you can still be best of the rest. You could still be crowned the season MVP. So always a reason to stay motivated and stay, working hard. Emily, did you have something?
I did. I was going to say, on these notes of what you and Mary are saying of the psychology behind keeping people motivated, maybe you have people that are still ramping, maybe you're coaching them around specific skills. If you ever want to focus both on top performers, but also on people that, let's say, they're most improved in a specific metric, we have a feature on our leaderboard where on a TV, you can highlight people who have improved the most, either by rank or by value. So if I want to look at people from January compared to their December performance, and I want to highlight those reps, it is such a good way to keep that behavior going, to say, hey, while you may not be at the top, you can improve, and we all can. So using that coaching, using that psychology to keep people really motivated. And you can see Emma's in the builder here showing this in that TV builder. You can do that most improved value. It's awesome.
Yeah, we do have a bunch of tools in Ambition that are really ideal for team members that are ramping, because no one wants to start a new job and try to make a good impression on a new team and then look up at these TVs and see that they're in the last place, or see that their scores are really low. They're like, oh man, this is not a good look first week on the job. But by introducing something like most improved value, most improved rank, or in our scorecard builder, setting those individual customized benchmarks that help someone ramp up, you're really creating a really great experience for someone as a new hire. And so there's a lot of great tools in Ambition that you can really leverage for your new hires. And so maybe we should do a session just on new hire features, because there's some really great ones.
I love that. And it's also fun too, because this is the beginning of a new year. I have a lot of customers where either January or February are the start of their new business year. And so if you do have a new focus that you're trying to push, a new metric that maybe they've always paid attention to it, but maybe they're not totally focused. Let's use the example of, stage 1 to stage 2 on new opportunities. And if you're trying to emphasize that a little bit more, show that improvement. Once you get that in Ambition, show how they're trending upwards. It can be for new hires, but it could also be for some of those tenured employees that you're trying to really encourage them to focus and lean in more on that new metric.
Yeah, that's a great point, Emily. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for your time today. If anyone has any last final questions, we will take them. But just a reminder, you guys will be getting a recap email with all of these resources, so you guys can take them back to your teams, talk about great ways to motivate your teams with different creative sales incentives, but also make sure that you and the rest of your team register for our office hours moving forward. Again, it's the second and fourth Thursday of every month. We're going to be doing fun topics like this. Hopefully you guys found it valuable. Feel free. Awesome. Yes, Elena said she'd like to have new hires training soon. Yes, I really like that idea too. Yeah, let us know if you guys have topics that would interest you or provide value to you, or you'd like to learn more about. we're really open to covering whatever is going to be useful to you guys. So please send feedback to your customer success managers and let us know if you have any other questions. Mary, Emily, any final words to share?
I think we are a little over time, which is actually so fun. There was so much to talk about, but I do look forward to seeing everyone again on the next office hours. Come every session, and then yeah, we're here for you in the meantime.
Thanks, everybody.